you all for coming today. This is a full house. I love it. This is great. My name is Rick Lawson, and I am the commander and director of the Park Ranger Academy here at Skagit Valley College. I retired about 12 years ago from the National Park Service, serving for over 36 years as a ranger with the National Park Service. The greatest career in the world. The best career in the world, no question about it. I would like to do some thank yous here. I'd like to welcome and thank all the faculty and staff members of Skagit Valley College that are here today, academy instructors, role players, other agency personnel, family, friends, special guests, other students, and of course the 10 students we are honoring today. We have over 38 instructors who teach at this academy. Currently working law enforcement officers from the federal, state, county, and city level, retired officers from the federal, state, county, and city level, and others also. And I would like to thank all those adjunct instructors. We also use a lot of volunteers. We do a lot of scenarios where we have role players. They volunteer their time. All they do is get free pizza for lunch. And that's about the best we can help them with. And I would like all the adjunct instructors, the evaluators, role players, or any others that help these cadets on the journey here to please stand. Thank you very much. Each of you have made a difference in the lives of these cadets. Our role players put in over 750 hours of volunteer time. I would like all our military veterans, both in our cadets and in the audience, to please stand. Thank you for your service to our country. I would like to introduce and welcome some special guests here. I would like to introduce Amy Purcell, who is our Dean of Workforce. The ultimate overseer of our academy, and also President Chris Villa, President of Skagit Valley College. He will be speaking to us in just a few minutes. Also a big thank you to the North Cascades National Park in Washington, the state parks, the 3 local county parks, and Everett City Parks, and the Northwest Technical College, without whose help from their rangers and other staff members, they help make this academy run. Thank you. I would like to thank all our members of our law enforcement and public service community here today. And last, but by no means least, I want to personally thank my assistant, the boss, Miss Jenny Kinezic over here. This winter and spring has given me and the cadets a tremendous amount of help in taking care of the many administrative duties and logistics it takes to run this academy. Without her help, we would not be here today. I especially want to pay tribute to the spouses, children, parents, relatives, significant others, partners, supervisors, and friends who unselfishly put their lives and relationships on hold so that their graduating recruit can participate in this 4-month training. To each of you, my personal gratitude and for making the sacrifice, and I thank you for traveling from far and wide to be here today. We train these cadets, but they arrived here as good people. And you, family and friends, raised them right and made them good people. You deserve the credit for them being here today. Thank you. For me, one of the greatest challenges with this academy is to keep all the moving parts going forward. The 720 hours of this academy are laid out in a very specific order with prerequisites for each class. Students and staff have to remain very flexible for constant and abrupt changes. This academy is only one of 6 in the country certified by the National Park Service and accredited by the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center out of Georgia, which is the main federal law enforcement training center for the federal government. And this academy is to certify seasonal law enforcement park rangers for the National Park Service. The state of Washington and many local county and city parks also recognize this academy as a training school for their agencies. The vast majority of state park law enforcement park rangers, over 95% here in the state of Washington, came through this academy. And the majority, I would say, of rangers in your 3 local county parks came out of this academy. And the city ranger here in Mount Vernon came from this academy, as did a number of the rangers with Everett City Parks. I would like to say it's been an honor and a privilege to spend the last 17 weeks with these 10 young folks, these future park rangers. For those of you not familiar, this academy is tough. I hear comments constantly from other students, staff, and faculty about how hard they work and the conditions they have to work in. A former cadet was here a few weeks ago acting as a role player in one of our scenarios. She graduated this academy 2 years ago and went to work for a law enforcement agency here in Washington, and then had to go to the state law enforcement academy. She said, quote, the state academy, and I quote, was a breeze compared to this academy. So I think we're doing something right here. This program is not like a normal college program, where in a semester spread over 15 weeks, you go to class 3 or 4 hours a day. These students were up working on their own physical fitness morning or evening, or both, every day, running and weightlifting, to be able to pass the physical efficiency battery that's required. They were then in the classroom at 7:45 until 5 or 6 at night, Monday through Friday, many Sundays, a few Saturdays, all in the space of 17 weeks for 30 college credits. What a lot of Americans don't realize is how hard it is to become a federal law enforcement officer. I would argue that the federal standards for a law enforcement officer, physically, medically, and the practical and academic testing standards are some of the highest in the country. These students go through the same basic training as other federal law enforcement officers do at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. It's basically the same curriculum. We are held to the same curriculum and standards. Just meeting the medical, physical, and integrity standards to be accepted to this academy is commendable and something to be proud of. During this academy, these students take 6 FLETC written tests, other written tests and quizzes, practical scenario tests, practical labs, and physical tests. These are federal test requirements which they must pass. We as a college have no control of those federal standards. As an example, you take the written test. The instructors and I do not see those tests beforehand. They are delivered from FLETC in Georgia via computer to the students. So instructors can't do something simple like teach toward the test, because they have no idea what the questions are going to be. So the instructors have to cover the material completely, and the students have to learn and understand all the material. These students have done nothing other than eat, sleep, and study and be in class for the last 17 weeks. And they will have many memories of this academy, especially one week toward the end of the control tactics block, in which they were tested one day by individually running a gauntlet and basically fighting for their life in a hand-to-hand combat against 3 aggressors. Then the next day they were zapped by a taser, and they took the 5-second electrical jolt like warriors. And then the next day they were pepper sprayed. And after they were pepper sprayed, they then had to fight off an attacker, call dispatch, arrest and handcuff the bad guy, and try to read the driver's license to call dispatch with that information. Again, they all survived as warriors. We have started this academy January 2nd with 12 cadets. These 10 stuck it out, made sacrifices, studied hard, helped each other, formed a team, and are here today. I salute each of you for that. Remember, we work as a team, we talk well with each other, we never look down at each other. So you guys stay in contact with each other. And if you ever need a long conversation, you know how to get a hold of me. These students came here to learn to be park rangers, protection rangers, which do law enforcement and all the other emergency services in the parks. Law enforcement is an honorable occupation. There is an essay written by retired Lieutenant Dave Grossman called On Sheep, Wolves, and Sheepdogs. The gist of that essay is that our society is made up of mostly sheep and a few wolves that prey on the sheep. It is the sheepdog that stands ready to protect the sheep from the wolves. You cadets have chosen to be those sheepdogs. About 1,000 years ago, a Templar knight was involved in defending a castle. After the battle, a young boy asked him if killing was a noble thing. As the knight looked at the blood and carnage around him, he replied, "No, killing is not a noble thing. But a life fought for others who cannot fight for themselves is a life worth living. That is a noble thing." These cadets have chosen to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, be they grizzly bears, trees, mountains, or park visitors. These students not only want to be just law enforcement officers, they want to serve in the national parks, the state parks, and the county parks of our country. One of the most incredible occupations in the world. And I admit I'm a little bit biased. That had always been my childhood dream, and I got to live my dream. National Park Rangers have been around in some form for over 150 years since the creation of the first national park in the world, Yellowstone. In 1880, a man named Harry Yount was hired in the newly created Yellowstone National Park as a gamekeeper to stop poaching, and after only 14 months he resigned. He resigned because he said in his resignation letter he couldn't do it by himself. In his letter he wrote, "A small but reliable police force is the only practical way to stop the wanton slaughter of wildlife, forests from fire, and enforcement of other laws." Based on his suggestion, Congress in 1886 sent in the United States Cavalry to run the parks temporarily until a civilian police force could take over. Almost 20 years later, in 1907, while the cavalry is still taking care and running Yellowstone, Sequoia, and Yosemite National Parks, General S.B.M. Young, who was the acting superintendent of Yellowstone at the time, was asked by President Theodore Roosevelt to devise a plan for a civilian guard force to take over the Army duties in Yellowstone and other parks. Young wrote his report to the President in which he stated, and ladies, please forgive the gender bias in 1907, Young said, quote, "It is quite obvious that any man assigned to duty in any capacity in the park should be by natural inclination interested in the park and its purposes. In addition, every man should be an experienced woodsman, speedy traveler on skis, an expert tracker, and a good packer. He should be of cool temperament, fearless and independent character, and handy with his rifle and pistol to enable him to find and overcome the wily trapper and the poacher. He should be well informed in the history of the park and thoroughly cognizant with all the curiosities and points of interest therein. Furthermore, a visiting tourist should always be favored by an intelligent and courteous answer on any subject pertaining to the park from any park guard." End of quote. I dare say every trait and skill mentioned in that 1907 report is still accurate, still necessary, and still utilized by park rangers today. A few years later, in 1916, the NPS was created, the National Park Service, as a government agency. Its mission statement has never changed, although many politicians over the years have tried to change it, to quote, "The service thus established shall promote and regulate the use of its federal areas known as national parks, monuments, and reservations, which purpose is to conserve the scenery and the natural and historic objects and the wildlife therein, and to provide for the enjoyment of the same in such manner and by such means as will leave them unimpaired for the enjoyment of all future generations." Now, it is notable that not all rangers are law enforcement rangers or protection rangers. Some are interpreters who give the talks and walks and interpret the park to the people. Some are biologists and resource managers in charge of managing the resource. And some are administrators managing the overall operation of the park. All these jobs as park rangers are just as important in protecting the parks for the future. In this ranger's opinion, after a lifetime of commitment, there is no other job more noble than that of protecting the natural and historic areas we are entrusted to guard and preserve, and to protect the people who visit them. I'm proud of you, each of you, for taking this step. I would now like to introduce Dr. Chris via the president of Skagit Valley College.
Thank you, Commander Mossman, and thank you all of you for being here this evening. I have the honor of representing this great college, Skagit Valley College. We have been here in the Skagit Valley for 98 years. We will celebrate our centennial in 2 years. We are the second oldest community college in the state of Washington. Centralia College beat us just by a nose. They're just a few months older than we are, but that's okay. We still think we're the best. Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Academy Commander Mossman for such a, as you can tell, deep commitment to this program. And we're so proud to have it here at our college, only one of 6 in the country. So this just adds to the wide variety of programs we have here at Skagit Valley College. We have an enrollment of about 7,000 students, and many of those students go on and transfer to four-year colleges and universities. Some pursue trades. We have a wide variety of career and technical programs. And then some of our students are in special programs like these. And this particular program, as you know, provides a great service, not only to our local communities, but to our country in general. I think Commander Mossman, you said it all pretty much. This is a noble profession, no question. It's a profession in which you serve others, and don't forget that. We in public higher education understand that. We hope, we expect, I would hope that you expect that us as educators at the college also believe strongly in serving our local communities and serving our nation. Protecting those citizens in our country, in our local regions, in our local cities, in our communities, and especially in parks and in national parks and other important parts of our country is something that's quite noble and quite highly respected in our country. As a college, I can speak for most of us, in fact all of us, that we're proud to be associated with this program, that we believe in supporting law enforcement, that we believe that following the law is critical to having a safe and prosperous country. So, cadets, we're proud of you. We're proud that you're going to move on and do some great things in serving your local communities, serving local parks or national parks, and we expect that someday, hopefully you'll remember us and you'll be out there promoting our college as well. But wherever you go, keep in mind that we're proud of what you've accomplished, and we're proud especially of you as families that have supported these young people who are going to be making major contributions in our country or in their local communities. So thank you for being here, and especially want to thank family members for being here. I know you could be doing other things on Saturdays, but this is probably the most important thing you could do, as you know, at this Jeff time in terms of supporting your children or your loved ones that are studying or sitting here today. So thank you for being here.
Now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, and I just realized that I forgot to introduce him when we were doing introductions. But I'm very excited and happy to have our keynote speaker today. I've been trying to get him to come here to graduation the last couple academies, and he is a very busy man. And it's Chief Chris Cannick, Chief of Mount Vernon Police. Mr. Chief Cannick has been with Mount Vernon Police for over 30 years. He's been the chief the last 4.5 years, and I'm so glad he was able to make the day, because he's going to be retiring in a few months. And I thought it was nothing more better or appropriate than to have him be able to come here today and speak to us. Chief?
When he says keynote, that leaves up like a lot of expectations that I'm going to impress you, so set the bar low, and I will work low. I promise you that. I just want to first of all acknowledge my friend and colleague in the back of the room, and of course Police Chief Dave Floyd, who's sitting back there. And I just want to say on behalf of Chief Floyd, the Anacortes Police Department, the Mount Vernon Police Department, and all of the Skagit County agencies that we represent, that it's a privilege to be here today, and congratulations to all of you for making it to where you're at. It's nothing but commitment and perseverance to get here, and you guys have made it. So job well done. as Commander Mossman alluded, I'm going to retire next month, and so he asked if I would come and maybe speak to my years as far as serving in the police department and how I got into the career and everything like that. So buckle in, I got about 3 hours of my life story to go with, and it's going to be riveting. So I was introduced to policing at the young age of 5 in a parochial police military academy that my parents enrolled me in. And you guys believe in that, aren't you? Heck no, I got it like everybody else did. Adam 12, Starsky and Hutch, Lethal Weapon, Hill Street Blues, and Beverly Hills Cop. And Lethal Weapon, it was really 1 and 2, 3 and 4 really sucked, I thought. But really, it's true. That's kind of how the introduction came when I was really a young age. Like anything else, the media influenced me into what I was looking at. But at 16 is when reality hit, and that damn state trooper on the back road to Stanwood gave me a speeding ticket along the way. You know those guys hide in those tree lines there? Driving along, there's troopers out here, isn't there? Actually, it's the best thing that happened to me in the world, because it was that speeding ticket, if you will, that first introduced me to policing in a more realistic sense of what that reality would be. And actually that contact led to another contact with the State Patrol, and that's where my initial career pursuit started out, was the Washington State Patrol. And that's what I wanted to do and I wanted to be. And along that line, I was then introduced to the Mount Vernon Police Department because they had a canine quarry program. And I was trying to learn as much as I could about policing and, again, build my resume and all those things that we do. And then I was fortunate enough to attend Skagit Valley College, where they offered a criminal justice program, very similar to this, but not in an academy format. And I got to do an internship at the Mount Vernon Police Department. And it just continued to solidify, if you will, for me, that it was a right fit of that occupation. But it was also there that I learned some things for my future. And one of those was, as I got in the internship program, the formality of those relationships, you know, they started to become informal, and you got to know people, and you got to know people at a very individual level. And I just idolized. I idolized the state troopers, the Mount Vernon PD. I thought they were invincible. I knew them growing up in the community. And so, again, I didn't think there was anything that could rock their world. And it wasn't long after doing the internship, and I built some friendships, that I saw people midway in their careers, and maybe it wasn't necessarily the career that they had really wanted to do. And I was seeing, you know, some burnout happening, if you will, or I saw marriage disillusions, not necessarily in Mount Vernon, but in law enforcement. I saw people get injured, and then the potential, if you will, they were injured, it could be career ending. And for me at that time, because I was a criminal justice major, I was like, if I don't have education in my future, I may feel stuck in a particular career. And so it was then that I really believed that education in our profession was not only necessary for ourselves, if you will, for our own professional growth and development, but also too, I looked around and I just saw how complex this profession was then and what it was becoming. And so I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity had I not gotten that ticket from that state trooper that then led to where I was going from there. So again, I really found that experience well. 35 years ago, February of this year, I joined the Mount Vernon Police Department, and I feel extremely fortunate and lucky. It was the only department that I wanted to go to work for at the time. Had I not gotten the opportunity to go to work here, I would have probably been an accountant somewhere, because that's where I went on and got my education, needed something to fall back on. At the Mount Vernon Police Department, I've been so fortunate for the opportunities that have come along. I started as a police officer, as a gang resource officer, I was a tactical officer, as a tactical team leader, as a tactical commander when I was promoted lieutenant. I was promoted to sergeant, so I was a patrol sergeant, and I was a crime prevention sergeant. And those two experiences were almost complete contrast. And one, I'm out responding to calls for service of things in progress and crimes that occurred. As a crime prevention sergeant, I'm out teaching and equipping and educating the community on how to hopefully never be in a position of being a crime victim that is that. I got promoted to lieutenant, and I worked pretty much every division in the organization over my career. And again, it was then that I just realized the value, if you will, of that continuous pursuit of education, because I started being put in positions where I was managing divisions that I had never worked as an operator. And so, for example, in detectives, I was never a detective before I got into a position of having to manage a detective division that was there. And so if I didn't have some of the foundation pieces to fall back on and go out and educate myself, it would have been more difficult. And then I'll end my career in this position, and again, it's surreal to think that that's happening, but it does come to a conclusion, I will tell you that. And I can honestly say, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life on it. So I thought I'd just share some looking backs on the contrasts of it, where it's come from. And so when I look back on my internship, and I think Chief Lloyd probably can reflect on some of this, even though our career spans are a little bit different. But I remember when I started into the organization and introduced the CAD systems that you see today that manage all of our databases, it was a 3x5 card system. Would you literally like go in the library, you'd open a drawer, and I would say, run a name on Dave Floyd. They would go over Floyd. There's his name, they'd go over the computer, and they would enter it in. I wanted to do a vehicle, pull a card on that. Everything was a 3x5 card. There was no computer reports. We typed everything, or we hand wrote everything that was there. I remember a time in the office that there was only one PC, and that was in the assistant chief's office. Other than that, we were on the keyboards of the typing system, or we were doing handwriting. And when they first introduced the Spillman system, which is our CAD database today, I just remember like, that's never gonna last. You know, you can't see it sitting in the system. It was this dot matrix printer that rolled things out. That'll never go anywhere. Yeah, look where we are at today. I remember I was on the cusp of transition from wheel guns to semi-automatic, so I never carried a wheel gun, but most of the people that I came to work with were just coming off wheel guns, and we went to Smith & Wesson 9mm, and then to Glocks, which we're still with today, but yeah, and then fingerprints, they were done by an ink pad roll, went on a piece of paper or a card, we snail mailed it to the FBI, and maybe in a couple of weeks or a month, we would hear back results if they got it done in time, it was there. We had a Polaroid camera. A Polaroid camera sat on our BAC counter that we could take pictures of suspects when they came in, have them available if we needed it. And I think that's also funny because I was at a wedding recently, and my daughter's friends were out there, and they all have these little Polaroid cameras kicking out these little Polaroids. I think, boy, how history repeats itself. And then if I was at a crime scene, and I really wanted pictures taken that were there, I had to call a detective, because only a detective had the 135mm camera in the office to be able to come out. And that camera was so dang expensive, if you will, they weren't going to just put it in the hands of anybody who would do that. The jail always had room back then, which was awesome, and Chief Lloyd can attest to where we're at there. We relied on people power. We relied on police power if you were there to control scenes, to investigate scenes, and it was really human-driven. So when I look at today, to contrast that, I have 3 computers now. I have 2 of them that are phones that I carry with me, and then I have a portable laptop, and I can go anywhere in the world, and I can be plugged into the city and to life and the world that's going on around. Our Spillman system can't keep up with the features that we need for mapping and crime scene analyzing and data analytics and everything else like that. So we're already looking at what does that system need to look like going forward. We still have our blocks, but now they're coming with red dot sighting systems on them, and they got flashlights at the bottom of them. We also carry pepper ball launchers, FN 303s, tasers, pepper spray. And the great thing about that, as I look at that evolution, is back when we started, if you will, the distance between me and my voice and my gun was short. That was there. And now we have all of these other capabilities in that system to hopefully avoid ever having the deadly encounter that could happen in our profession. Fingerprints are scanned immediately. We have a scanner in our office. We can boom, and it's to the FBI in minutes. They make portable systems. We don't currently carry one, but they literally make portable systems now that I'm sitting at a traffic stop, and I can say, I think you're lying to me, and beep, and you are. And you're going to jail. So they make those that are out there. Cameras, they're now on our phones. And in addition to that, I can text it to you, I can Snapchat it to you, I can Facebook you, I can bring Chief Floyd up online and look at his pretty face and say, what do you think about this crime scene over here? And he says, I think I need you to do this and that. It's amazing where we've gone. The jail rarely has room today to put them in it, and that's not the issue of space, it's the issue of staff that's there in order to be able to do it. And we still rely on people power to do our work. However, at least in Mount Vernon, we have a citywide camera system that goes on there that leverages our resources when we're out there. We have license plate readers, we have body-worn cameras, we have digital forensics that allow us to analyze phones and computers and all sorts of things and help us contain or put scenes into perspective much differently than we did years ago. We also have a countywide SMART team, and they're across the state, that when we get either an officer-involved shooting or we get a crime scene that exceeds the agency's resources, we can combine all of our agencies together, and we can go out and assist much differently in a much different capacity than we did years ago. So 3 decades ago, our police department was really comprised of primarily commissioned police officers and some support staff, like records personnel and maybe property. Today in the Mount Vernon Police Department, we have 3 Parks Law Enforcement Academy graduates. As Commander Mossman alluded, one of them is a law enforcement park ranger for us, and 2 of them are police officers for us. We have 2 non-commissioned community service officers. These are people that don't enforce laws, but they're equipped again to go out to the community and help educate them and put tools in their toolbox so they never become crime victims, or hopefully reduce that chance greatly. We have 5 social workers in the agencies that are providing a first response service out there. They're doing case management. They're doing it around the issues that fall into public safety, because there's a lot of public health that ends up in public safety. And I promise you, public health will end up in our parks. In fact, in our world, our park ranger deals with more public health issues than public law enforcement issues that are doing. And it's around substance abuse, behavioral health, unhoused, poverty, and that's across the map that's there. And we are called to serve in that capacity. Last Thursday night, we just graduated our Citizens Academy class number 30. We've had it for 30 years, and the 700th graduated from that program. And over the years, those individuals that have taken that class have gone on, so we have 35 citizen volunteers that work out of our agency. And those citizen volunteers, we call them out for crime scenes, traffic control, they run our events, they do patrols, they work in our property room, and an endless amount of activities that they do. And we could not survive without them, and that was not the case years ago. So I just thought I might reflect on some of my takeaways from the last 35 years, if you will. And some of them I'm sure you've already heard, and I hope you have heard along your way or your path. So one of those is the only constant is change. And you have to evolve both personally as well as be committed to evolving our profession professionally as well. Despite all the technology in our lives that's intended to make it easier, this is still a people business first. Do not forget that. Citizens are fickle. You only have to look at Sears and Roebuck, Blockbuster, Kodak film, and who would ever thought they would be past tense? Industry disruptors dismantled those keystone pillars of really the business community. And don't think that can't happen to us. If you don't think it can't, just look over the last couple of years where there are agencies across the nation that were completely dismantled due to police reform. Because the citizens lost confidence in their policing force and said, we're going to change it. So it can happen to us. We're only allowed to ranger or to police to a level that the community allows. Let me say that again. We are only allowed to police to the level that the community provides. Okay? That means they can take it away from us, they can change it, and again, just look over the last couple of years with what they've done with legislation. It's that responsibility that we have. And I want to use a quote that FBI Director James Comey said, that those who served before us have built a reservoir of trust and professional credibility, and it's our duty not to let it drain. Some people watch things happen, some people wait for things to happen, and some people make things happen. You decide which one you want to do. You've heard this before too, that chance favors the prepared mind. Be ready in your daily work. Be ready in your professional aspirations, and make things happen to fill that reservoir. If you struggle with humility, I guarantee you this work will remind you that you will be humble. But most importantly, I want you to have fun. This career, as Commander Mossman said, best thing in the world that you can do. You know, love every day of it. You never work a day in your life. Enjoy the challenges, enjoy the rewards, and enjoy the opportunities. And remember that careers are decades and families are lifetimes. Don't forget that along the way. I'd like to close with a story and then a quote. And this was just happened Thursday night. So again, we were doing our graduation for our Citizens Academy program. And on the opening night, we go around and we ask the students to introduce themselves. We got to a gentleman who was sitting over in the corner, and in his very thick Russian accent, he tells the story that when the Russian-Ukraine war broke out, the impacts were happening on him and his family with that potential. He exiled out of the country. He actually left his family behind, part of them that were over there, out of fear. He arrived in Seattle on a plane, and as he gets off the plane, he's greeted by immigration, border patrol, Homeland Security, the whole federal government, and said, you got a choice. You can get back on the plane and go to Russia, or you can go to jail for upwards to a year, maybe even longer. Without a question, he says, I'll take jail. So he was housed in a detention center for about 7 or 8 months. And they released him, and he's in a process. So he's living up here in Skagit County. He enrolled in the Citizens Academy program because he wanted to contrast what he knew of Russian policing with American policing. So, graduation night Thursday, we always have a class speaker. And our class speaker was an excellent speaker, it wasn't him. When he gets all done, our class speaker and Lieutenant Shackleton, who's commander of the academy, opens and said, would anybody else like to speak? And O says, I would speak. And he comes up, we're like, okay. Comes up, he says, I'd like to use board first. And he goes up onto our dry erase board, and he writes MV, and then he writes police under it. He puts it down, he comes back over the podium, and he says, the night I walked through this door, that's the words I saw. MV, police. Through this process, here is how I leave tonight. And he turns around and he walks back over to the MV, and he draws one simple line below the V, and he makes it a mine. My police. And I tell you, I've been 30 years watching that academy. It was the most moving experience I've had that was there. To take an individual, he told me later, he says, in Russia, the police work for the regime. In America, the police work for the people. I don't care if you're a police, park ranger, deputy sheriff, Washington State Patrol, federal agent, that's who we work for at the end of the day. And President Calvin Coolidge said, no one is compelled to choose the profession of police officer or park ranger, but having chosen it, everyone is obliged to live up to the standard of its requirements. So on behalf of all the staff of the Mount Vernon Police Department, the Anacortes Police Department, Skagit County, congratulations. We are looking forward to serving with you.
Thank you, Chief, appreciate that. One of the things I do with the academy on after the first week is I pick 2 people to be district rangers. I split the class in half, and each district ranger, their responsibility is to take care of the people in their district, let me know of issues, problems, collect papers, things like that. And I picked the first 2 based on what I've seen in their application and watching the class the first week. And the first 2 I picked, I just want to point them out, was John Major, raise your hand, and Demetrius Smallmouth. I named the districts the Albright and Mather. Of course, Albright and Stephen Mather are kind of considered the 2 founding fathers of the National Park Service. And then halfway through the academy, we elect new district rangers, if the class wants to. It's up to them. And they elect new ones. So the second part of the academy, the Mather group re-elected Mr. Smallmoon, and then the Albright Academy elected Thierry West. What they probably didn't know until last week was that part of their duties are they have to get up at graduation and talk about their experience here. So at this time, both Thierry West and Mr. Smallmoon will come up and say something. Who's going to be first?
I want to start off by thanking friends, family, and significant others for being here during this special event. Your constant support and encouragement made the difference between a good day and a great day. I would also like to thank instructors and volunteers for their time, as previously mentioned. Your efforts, we couldn't have done this training without you. I want to thank Commander Mossman and Jenny for putting together this program. Your dedication to this program and cadets is appreciated and will not be forgotten. Finally, I want to personally thank the love of my life, my wife and best friend, Erica. Thank you for everything you have done for me, as this time in our life has been crazy and fun and enjoyable. And I promise no more schooling. During my time at the academy, I have had the opportunity and honor to meet exceptionally amazing people. There is greatness sitting before you, and I want to acknowledge the dedication and perseverance that each of these individuals has taken to complete this program. For 4 months, we woke up, put on our uniforms and boots, and came to class ready to learn the skills and knowledge necessary for law enforcement duties. I know for a fact that some of the days were more challenging than others due to a lack of sleep, sickness, personal issues, or financial burdens. I'm here to tell my fellow cadets that you can take a deep breath now. Go on, take a deep breath. We made it. Now is the time to celebrate all that we have achieved as individuals and as a group. I want to emphasize that this group is something special. When I think back to lectures in the classroom, or days at the range, or early morning control tactics at Darby's dojo, I think about people who are dedicated to something greater than themselves. You are looking at the next generation of local police officers, park rangers working for local counties, animal control officers, and even national park rangers. Now at this point, in all great graduation speeches, you're supposed to go into greater detail, talking about events I'll never be forgotten. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So I want to take a step back and rewind to a couple of events in the academy that will be ingrained in my memory forever. Now, I want to take a wild guess that, or go out on a limb, that most of you sitting in this room didn't sign up for a schooling program or go to college expecting to get pepper sprayed or tased. Well, some in the crowd. Well, that was a reality for us. Nothing like a bunch of slobbering college students stumbling around blind and asking for all kinds of help. Can't really tell the difference between that and a bad night out on the town.
With that being said, we made it through stronger on the other side of recovery because we had each other. Another fond memory was group study sessions where we would sit in classroom discussing EPOs while contemplating if we were going to pass this test or not. John Major would be sitting there calculating how many questions he had or he could miss before failing, while he was rolling their eyes again, because he knew that he would do well on this test. With that being said, we had each other and we were determined to make it to the following week. The final event that I want to share was our time spent at the EVOC track up in Bellingham. At this point in the academy, we were 3 weeks from graduation, and you could start to see the finish line. No pun intended. An overwhelming feeling of accomplishment was becoming reality as we took each day in stride, and EVOC was supposed to be something fun after months of rigorous training and lectures. Speaking on behalf of the cadets, myself including, I would say we had a pretty good time. Nothing like driving at high speeds, controlling, possibly not controlling, finding that threshold. Who could believe that being in a law enforcement academy would be fun? At the end of EVOC, cadets were smiling, the sun was shining, and we were truly having fun. All in all, our time at the academy will be something we never forget. The good, the bad, and the ugly. What I will never forget and cherish to the end of my days is the time I got to spend with exceptional friends and colleagues who exemplify integrity, respect, and courage, set forth on a path destined for greatness in anything that they set their minds to. It has been my honor and privilege to serve as District Ranger, and I wish the spring class of 2024 the best of luck for future endeavors as you go forth to be the best damn law enforcement ranger or officer that you can. Let us be the class that changes the social norm of what people in this country see police officers as. We are ready for true change, and I know you all are as well. I want to leave you with a quote from Gandalf the Grey, a fictitious character created by J.R.R. Tolkien. He explained that all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. We are here for a short while to enjoy all that life has to offer. Thank you so much.
Ms. West.
Well, how can I beat that piece, right? That was not what I had, but we'll get through it together. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tiari West. I'm the lead cadet for the Albright District. First of all, I want to thank you guys for voting me in. I think it is an absolute honor that I was voted in, and I appreciate this opportunity more than you guys know. I'm honored to be standing on this stage alongside my fellow classmates. We've been through rigorous training together, both mentally and physically, and honestly emotionally. Every time I hear the words taser, 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 thank you, Chelsea. It has been an exhausting 16 weeks, and I'm being honest, there were times that I didn't want to continue. What pushed me through the stressful times were these people right here. I really don't think it would have been as easy as well, I mean, it wasn't easy, but when I look back, they are what pushed me through it every single day. I've seen such incredible support and encouragement shared amongst each other, and I can genuinely call each one of the graduates my friend. Even though we don't share the same dream job, we share the same goal, to protect and serve our communities, whether that be as a park ranger, police officer, or as animal control. I hope that when times get hard, we all remember this day and why we chose this profession. I'd like to take a moment to thank our friends and families for the tremendous support they've shown throughout this academy and for celebrating with us today. I'd also like to thank the instructors, volunteers, and commander for their time and energy put into this academy. Another thank you to Snohomish County Animal Services and the Auditor's Office for giving me the opportunity to attend. I wouldn't be here without you guys. I'd like to give a shout out to Professor Overby. He has been one of the most caring, passionate, and educated instructors I've ever had. Multiple times throughout the academy, an instructor would have to cancel, and Overby would show up to teach the class to ensure we received the needed curriculum. We don't have to question if he cares. He made and continues to make it known. I know I can speak for the entire class. Lost my spot. Hold on. I know I can speak for the entire class am so incredibly proud of the hard work and determination this class put in these past 4 months. Congratulations to Class 41. The future of law enforcement is brighter because of you. Thank you.
All right. Next, we're going to go over some achievement awards that occurred throughout the academy, and I'm just going to kind of go down them. If I call your name, I want you to stand and remain standing until we're done with all the recognition awards here. One of the most important things for police officers, park rangers obviously, is firearms. They go through about approximately 70 hours of firearms training on pistol, shotgun, and rifle. And they have to qualify on each of those weapons. They have to qualify on the pistol twice. They do a basic pistol course they have to qualify on. And then they have to do a reduced light pistol course where the range is darkened and it's just red and blue lights as indicating nighttime. There may be a few other lights in there. They have to fire that course. Then they have to fire a shotgun course, which consists of both 1-ounce slugs and also buckshot. And then they have the rifle, which is basic military style law enforcement rifle, and they qualify with that. So, best pistol score, and I might mention on each of the certifications they get they certify twice. So they go through two certification rounds for each weapon. So the highest score on the pistol is 30 points. That's how you can get it. They're firing 30 bullets basically. The highest pistol score for the combined rounds with a 55 out of 60 rounds was Courtney Phantom. The best reduced light pistol score was Lucella Javier with 50 out of 60. In the rifle, we had a couple perfect scores, and we had one person in 2 qualifying rounds scored 60 out of 60, Miss Thierry West. Lucella Javier and Morgan Weiler Stark both got 1 perfect round. So obviously the best overall rifle score was Miss West with 60 out of 60. So shotgun, and I want to tell you, when they're shooting buckshot, there's little tiny beads in there, and basically a perfect score is to get all 4 slugs in the middle of the target and all 90 of the pellets, or no, it would be 45 of the pellets. Combined score of 2 would be 94 total. And we actually had 4 perfect shotgun scores of at least 1 round, and they were Lucella Javier with a 94 out of 94. The best combined shotgun score, it is a score, each one is 94. So the best combined score, which would be a total of 188, was John Major, who had 187 out of 100. And I'm sorry, that was a tie. Demetrius Smallmoon also had 100. And then if you combine all those scores, and the highest overall combined firearm score was John Major with 348 out of 368. Okay, and then as Mr. Upstate, as Mr. Smallmoon recognized the EVOC, which stands for Emergency Vehicle Operation Course, and we have our, I just want to point out, we have our instructor over here, Mr. Kevin McFadden. Can you wave? He's been our lead EVOC instructor at this academy for 20 years, something like that, a long time. So, anyway, And I want to read, I have to get my other glasses out here to read this small print, what the EVOT course consists of. The vehicle dynamics course is a 1.4 mile long with a total of 15 cone patterns to navigate. That's a lot of cones. It's not just 15, it's 15 different patterns of cones. There are a total of 232 cones. These consist of 12-inch and 18-inch cones as well as 36-inch delineators. Time must be completed under 2 minutes and 45 seconds with no more than 5 errors. If you hit a cone, that's an error. The vehicle placement course is approximately 1/10 mile long and consists of 5 patterns that have to be navigated both forward and reverse. So imagine trying to go through a parking lot backwards and going into spaces in between cars. That's what it amounts to. The course consists of approximately 60 36-inch delineator cones. The time limit is they have to do that in 2 minutes and 15 seconds or less, and no cones can be struck. All right, so let's see here. They also, they run the course, and in this case, the top gun for the placement course, let me make sure I don't mess this up. The top gun for the placement course was Lucella Javier. The overall top gun for the EVOT course was Lucella Javier. We did not have a top gun for the Albright district, but the top gun for the Mather district was Lucella Javier. So we combined all the different things they do, the overall top gun was John Major. Later, but I just want to show you all. These are the trophies you get. All right, and then I also want to mention talk about the physical efficiency battery they're required to do. The physical efficiency battery is a physical fitness test. Basically, it consists of 5 things, and one is a stretch and reach. One is a body mass. Those are not scored, or those don't count toward the scoring. But the 3 events that are part of the scoring is a bench press. And to give you some idea, it's age and gender adjusted, and it's based on federal standards they've been doing since 1965 down at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And they have to be at a certain level to pass. To give you an example, a male under 25 has to bench press 90% of their body weight. They have to be able to bench press 90%. That's a lot if you think about it, the bench press. Then they have to do an agility run, which is 60 yards, but it's not straight. It's 10 yards up, 10 yards back. Then they have to weave through cones, weave through the cones coming back and then back and forth. And they have to do that, again, if they're probably under 25 male, they have to do that in less than 16 seconds. So again, it's about agility and speed. And then the third thing is the 1.5 mile run. They have to go out and do the 1.5 mile. Again, to give you an idea, a male under 25 has to do that 1.5 mile run in less than 15 minutes and 30 seconds to pass. And again, it's age and gender adjusted, so it varies a little bit. But all these students are working hard throughout the academy and trying to reach those goals. We did it on the third day of class, I think. We did a practice one, so they kind of learned what the test is and so forth. And we did a middle one, and then they did the final one. They had to pass here about a week ago Friday, I believe it was. Let me get this right. Okay, so the best overall score for males was Marcus Allard with 87%. The best overall score for females was Courtney Fano. Obviously the best overall score was with Courtney Fano with a 95%. The other thing I think I like to point out that I do is I look at how they did the first day and I look at how they did the last day. Because I think a lot has to be said about who improves the most. And the most improved female was Thierry West, who improved by 16%. And then I had a little struggle with the most improved male, and let me explain this. If a student fails a test or a practical exam, they get one chance for remedial. They only get a certain amount of remedials they can do. And in the scoring, the way FLETC does it, if you get a remedial, you can't be considered for awards. However, in this case, I'm going to make an exception today. Because I have to point out Mr. Hunter White. Because Mr. White failed the PEB, he failed the mile-and-a-half run in the final. He took a remedial 2 days ago. I will tell you that his time in the middle one, he was a few minutes off. And in the middle one, in the final one, he was a few minutes off. I did not think, to be honest, I'm being totally honest here, Hunter, I did not think he'd be able to make it to the remedial. And he came out there on Thursday, he did the other test and passed those, because you have to do all 5 items within a 2-hour time period. And he came out, and he ran, and I have not seen any cadet gut it out like he did, and he passed the remedial by 15 seconds, I believe it was. And I never would have bet that he would have. And from the first remedial, or the first test back in January to today, he improved his score 31.7%. I just want to say, Hunter, that's a lesson for all of us to learn, that if you really push yourself and you have faith in yourself, you can do what you think is possible.
Thank you, Commander.
I also want to point out, though, also, because this has never happened before, that the other person that had the most improved score besides Hunter as a male was the overall person, Marcus Allard, who also had the overall or highest male score at 87%. He also and the last thing, the last award I have here is we were in class Thursday, I guess it was, Wednesday, and I asked them, I said, there's no parameters on this. I said, you've gotten to know each other very well over the last 17 weeks. Who do you want, whether you're a park ranger, police officer, whatever, who do you want as your partner in this room? Who do you want? I don't care if it's somebody you want to go horseback riding with, if it's somebody you expect to back you up at a felony car stop, if it's somebody that tells the best jokes around the campfire, no parameters. And I had to pick who they would want as their partner. And the person selected that, and is Miss Courtney Fannin. Okay. All right, what we're going to do now is the cadets are going to receive their certificates. And
Commander,
yes,
I think the cadets have something they'd like to present to you first, if that's all right.
sure.
On behalf of the cadets, Commander, we present you a tackle box. May it bring you much fish and then lots of fun out in the wilderness.
Thank you very much. I like that. I'll treasure that. So now, and I also wanted to point out, I failed on my introductions, I realized, and I'm glad Thierry brought it up, but I failed to introduce Mr. Bill Overby over here. Bill is one of our primary instructors. I mentioned we have over 37 instructors as part of this academy. He's one of our primary academies, and he was the commander of this academy before I arrived. And so I'm just trying to follow in his footsteps, and he had big shoes to fill, let me tell you. So anyway, what we're going to do now is the cadets are gonna come over here and get their certificates, and Ms. Knizik and President Villa will give you guys your certificates. You're gonna go to the center of the stage, we talked about this earlier, and Ms. Purcell and Mr. Overby are going to put the badge on your, pin it on your collar, and then you're gonna come see me and you're gonna turn in your device. And I might mention, Marcus, do you have your device on you? So when they came to the academy on the first day, they received this little piece of unpolished metal. And I said, this is you right now. You're unfinished, you're not done, you're just a piece of metal. And you're all equal. And at the end of this academy, if you make it through to graduation, you're going to be polished. So when they come through, they're going to turn in their device to me, and they're going to be given the challenge coin of the academy showing that they graduated from this academy. Hold on to that. Need that from you in a second. And feel free, if you want to come up and take a picture of cadet when they get pinned, they'll be standing right here.
Okay, folks, are you ready? This is the best time, the whole ceremony. I'm going to call up our first cadet, and that is Marcus Allard.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Courtney Bono.
Okay. We have one more thing to do. Now I would like to introduce again Mr. Bill Overby, who is going to administer the symbolic oath of honor.
Good afternoon. First off, congratulations to all of you. Strong effort, great job, you'll be great protectors and community ambassadors out there. In medieval times, a coat of arms was worn by knights, identifying the knight as a protector and his allegiance to justice, chivalry, and his royal leadership. The knight would be sworn in and asked to, quote, protect the weak, defenseless, helpless, and fight for the general welfare of all, end quote. Now, times have changed, but in this aspect of law enforcement and community service, certain traditions remain. An oath is a solemn pledge someone makes when they sincerely intend to do what they say. Soon, rather than a shield or a coat of arms, the graduates in front of you will wear a badge, and that badge stands as a symbol of public trust and confidence. Graduates, I implore you to recite this oath of honor in front of your family, your friends, your mentors, your academy instructors, and your commander. To punctuate the importance of treating all individuals with dignity and respect, and to ensure the preservation of human life in our society. Whether your individual choice is to remain in a career of law enforcement, or if you seek a different path, your moral obligation, decency, and civility demands adherence to the oath that you are about to take. Cadets, would you please stand? Attention! Please raise your right hands. I. Your names in unison. Come on, you can do this. 1, 2, 3. Do pledge that on my honor I will never betray my integrity, my character, nor the public trust. I will treat all individuals with dignity and respect and ensure that my actions are dedicated to the assurance of the safety of my community and the preservation of human life. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always maintain the highest ethical standards and uphold the values of my community and the agency I serve. Do you affirm that oath?
Yes, I did.
Please, you can lower your hands now, you're all good. Please accept my congratulations on this special day and welcome to the protection of special communities and special places on your Commander Mossman, the class is yours.
Please take your seat. Just have a couple closing remarks, and we'll go eat cake. Before I do that, though, I have one more thank you. That's the reason I didn't do it earlier, because the person wasn't here. She just got off a plane that was delayed out of Phoenix, and that is my partner, Kendra, back there. And I just want to thank you, Kendra, for your patience and understanding these last 3 months, as I've worked most weekends, many nights, and I appreciate your patience and understanding. And after today, I can concentrate on and look forward to the day we get married in June. So class, as you go through your career, there's going to be days when you ask yourself if the job you're doing is making a difference. Sometimes, often, we don't see tangible results. in this line of work. And throughout our careers, that makes us wonder if we are making a difference. Yes, maybe we did put some new picnic tables out, and we got the annual report done. We patrolled a lot of roads and trails by cars and boats and water and so forth. But have we really made a difference? A long-term difference? I know sometimes I have those doubts in my career. Well, I'm here to tell you that you will make a difference. In 1936, a young man who was an Eagle Scout and student at the University of Michigan went to Yellowstone National Park to spend the summer as a park ranger. Throughout his life, and even when that young man, Gerald Ford, became the 38th president of the United States, he said that summer at Yellowstone was the best summer job and the best summer he ever had in his life, and the best job he ever had. During his tenure as president, he signed bills to add 18 new parks to the National Park Service, including Klondike Gold Rush National Park here in Washington. No doubt part of his love for parks came from that summer in Yellowstone. Former President Barack Obama, who recently hosted a TV show about national parks around the world, loves parks. He talks fondly of his mother taking him to Yosemite, Grand Canyon, and Yellowstone on summer vacations. And I don't think there is any reason to doubt the impact that had on him. During his tenure, he created 23 new national monuments and protected more land and water for this country than any other president in history. So, you future park rangers here today, please realize and remember, there's that little 10-year-old girl walking down the beach and she finds a shell. And she asks her mom or dad what creature lived in this shell. Or maybe she finds a park ranger who tells her about what creature lived in this shell. And she giggles and laughs from that experience. Or that little 6-year-old boy who catches his first fish in a park. And as he stands there with his grinning from ear to ear, holding this wiggling fish. And he gets home and he asks his mom and dad, please take me back to a park to go fishing. Your work will help create, provide, and protect that experience. You must realize you will be changing people's lives for the better every day and changing their lives forever. For maybe, just maybe, that little girl or that little boy will grow up with a fondness for parks, with a little bit of wilderness in their heart. Maybe they will join a conservation group or volunteer at a park. Or maybe, just maybe, they'll grow up as president of the United States. As we celebrate this 108th year of the National Park Service, it is important to realize the national parks and the state parks represent the best of this country. They epitomize this country's democracy as they are open and available for the enjoyment by all peoples of this nation and all nations, regardless of race, religion, economic status, or whether you come from a blue state, a red state, or a purple state. Cadets, please stand. Parade rest. So for you graduates, it is important for you to remember these things, the things that you've been taught here, and remember the park rangers who came before you, and honor those who died while wearing this park ranger hat, all of whom were carrying out their duties of protecting grizzly bears in mountains, forests, and ocean beaches, of protecting the historic and cultural sites that define this nation, and of protecting the visitors, generations past, present, and future. I hope each of you from this point forward can live up to their professionalism and those ideals. Each of you have worked very hard to get here to this day. Go out, wear your uniform with pride, stand tall, and be proud. Rangers, attend hut! Class 41, dismissed!
Yeah, I'm gonna be steady on you around this tripod.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, are you? Oh, I think you are. I was like, every time I get this was a
What's up? No, I said he's been speaking about.
Oh, I thought you said I haven't seen him since he was little. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what, honey?